Hello everyone, guys. Today we are delivering bags for the guys so that they can all return home soon.
Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrskyi visited the front lines in the Pokrovsk and Dobropilya directions. At a command post, he met with corps commanders to assess the situation and discuss further actions, with special focus on neutralizing Russian Marines redeployed to press the offensive near Dobropilya. "We have found a way to crush them," Syrskyi said. In the same time, Russian troops have set up logistics through a gas pipe to occupy the city of Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region. This is the third recorded use of the pipeline, after Avdiivka and Sudzha, Deep State reports. The entrance to the pipe is located near the village of Lyman-Pervyi, and the exit is on the northern outskirts of Kupiansk, near the village of Radkivka. In order to move inside the pipe, specially designed beds on wheels are used, and where the height allows, electric scooters are used. Due to the length of the route, about 4 days, there are places along the route for rest and replenishment of supplies. The total length of the route is about 10 kilometers. In this way, organized enemy groups reach Radkivka without serious losses, and then move south to the forest they control. Subsequently, the forces disperse in Kupiansk and move to the railroad line. Ukraine's general staff says Kupiansk and its outskirts remain under Ukrainian control. 3 of 4 infiltration pipelines are damaged or flooded. The 4th is monitored. Counter-sabotage actions continue. Russian losses in the area reached 395 in 2 weeks, including 288 killed. Currently, Russian troops are actively pressing from the northern part of Kupiansk, deploying a significant number of units there. Today, we are sending the bags for the guys so that they can all return home soon. Russian volunteers sent 4 trucks of body bags for the killed soldiers. This batch is going to the servicemen of the 385th Motor Rifle Regiment of the Russian Armed Forces.
Hello everyone, guys. Today we are delivering bags for the guys so that they can all return home soon. God willing, may it happen quickly so they can be with their families. Unfortunately, some are already among the heavenly warriors who protect us from there. The guys arrived in 4 cars. I'm not showing the fighter pass. We are not speeding up because we can't. In general, we have handed everything over. The guys will meet soon. They will start soon, take a little rest. So it's not allowed to film going up. So we have handed everything over. Thank you all very much.
Russia still has not recovered the Project 23,470 tugboat Kapitan Ushakov after it capsized and sank last month in the port of St. Petersburg. The brand new Russian Navy was in final outfitting and has been sitting overturned in the water for over a month now. The Russian Navy's newest ice-class fleet tug has capsized at the pier in St. Petersburg on August 10th, despite concerted efforts to keep it upright. The Kapitan Ushakov is the latest Project 23,470 fleet auxiliary and was assigned for delivery to the Northern Fleet. It was constructed at the Yaroslavl shipbuilding, then transported to the Baltic shipyard in St. Petersburg in 2023 for final fitting out. Yaroslavl shipbuilding maintained custody of the vessel and was leasing the pier. For reasons that remain under investigation, an auxiliary machinery space began to flood, and the Ushakov took on an increasingly severe list. Shipyard employees and salvors attempted to save the vessel overnight, but the effort was not successful, and the Ushakov listed to 90 degrees and partially sank. Russian propaganda at work again. In Filia, Dnipropetrovsk region, Russians shelled with MLRS and FPVs, then sent a swimmer to plant a flag on one house. Minutes later, Ukrainian troops cleared the area, tore it down, and raised the Ukrainian flag. Filia remains Ukrainian-controlled. Russian commanders are increasingly being forced to issue false statements and exaggerated reports about their battlefield successes. Under pressure from higher command and the Kremlin's propaganda machine, they often claim to have captured Ukrainian positions that remain firmly under Kiev's control. These fabricated victories are meant to maintain the illusion of progress, calm domestic audiences, and protect their own careers in a system where admitting failure can mean dismissal or worse. On the ground, however, Russian troops know the reality: mounting losses, stalled offensives, and a lack of decisive breakthroughs. This cycle of false reporting not only deceives the public, but also undermines Russia's own military planning, as decisions are based on lies rather than actual conditions at the front. Quick take on the lagging Russian military education that is behind the current combat trends in Ukraine from a Russian military commentator. I attended a lecture at one of the military training centers in the Samara region, and excuse my French, dear teachers of this center, but I have never heard so much nonsense from anyone. Of course, out of respect for their shoulder straps, I tried to smooth things over, but it got to the point where the lecturer said that 75% of all tactical targets were hit by artillery. Let me remind you, for those who have forgotten, this is the 4th year of the Special Military Operation, Russian name for its invasion of Ukraine, and this war is unlike any other. Now, for your information, 70% of the targets are hit by drones. It is related to this fact that the respected teachers of this military training center, and many of you read me, can all take the books on tactics and put them on the back shelves, then come to the Bars Sarmet Special Training Center or any volunteer formation, stay at the front for 1 to 2 months, and this knowledge will be enough for you to teach not a year-long, but a 6-month course on your subject, since for the next semester you will have to go to the front again to learn about changes in warfare. Now, if someone is going to write a manual on troop tactics, taking all the accumulated experience during the SVO, I can also disappoint you. Give up this hopeless business. It will not work. In the special military operation, something changes every day. Military technical progress develops every day. And in order for such writers to keep up with the general progress, it is necessary to churn out a new edition every day, since in our war, what works today is unlikely to work tomorrow. Returning to the conversation about the military training center, indeed, the training of specialists of the officer cadre reserve of the Russian armed forces needs a change in the training approach. They study on old Soviet-era devices that can no longer be used. They cite absolutely fabulous examples from the SVO zone and much more. So how can we train strong command personnel who do not know what a digital map or aerial reconnaissance is, or what the pre-planned reconnaissance of the area? And then these cadets after graduation go and complain in their military units. Why do they call me a suit? Because your teachers are narrow-minded people who did not know what war was when they taught you. And then you begin to bring this delusional knowledge. Dear military teachers, it is always necessary to be aware of the events of the modern theater of military operations, since people's lives will depend on how you present the material. Dmitry Rogozin, former Russian bureaucrat who now heads Bars Sarmat detachment, agrees with this sentiment. When I first came to Donbass as a volunteer 3 years ago, I was sure that I could teach many people how to fight. Back then, I had experience of participating in the Transnistrian War of 1992, and vivid memories of the battles for Novo Sarajevo in Bosnia as part of the Serbian White Wolves Brigade, and the knowledge I had acquired over the years as Russia's ambassador to NATO, vice premier for the defense industry, and head of the rocket and space industry. But it turned out that all of this was decidedly not enough, and it was not I who was the master teacher, but the young Donetsk men who taught me the new war. They taught me not in classrooms, but in the trenches near Avdiivka, Mariinka, and Ugledar. And then I, trained to constantly learn, began to figure out what's what. And based on understanding the meaning and forms of modern armed struggle with more technologically advanced NATO opponents, my team and I began to form an advanced unit for unmanned systems, which became our Bars Sarmat detachment. Unfortunately, I cannot but agree with Kipchak, thread above, who emotionally writes about the lack of desire and ability of a number of our colleagues to digest and assimilate the experience of modern high-tech warfare. At a time when we are extremely interested in attracting students from military educational institutions and from various scientific companies who are literate in engineering to military technical work, the teaching there often does not quite correspond to what is actually happening at the front, where unmanned systems, robotic complexes, and communications and reconnaissance systems are the main actors. Artillery, the gods of war, certainly play a crucial role, collecting up to 15% of the harvest in the losses of enemy personnel and equipment. On both sides, the lion's share of the bloody harvest is taken by UAVs. These are statistics, and they are stubborn. Pay attention to this. You need to prepare for the war of the future and not build illusions that you know something about war. War must be constantly learned, and those who miss its lessons will simply be killed and crushed, like in a computer game. Of note, Rogozin often states that the future war will not be fought by infantry, but by bespectacled nerds who command robotic systems far from the line of contact. On a related note, the quality of military education is squarely in the Russian defense minister's crosshairs today, as he publicly stated the need for reform in military academies that need to incorporate Ukraine lessons learned in the curriculum.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.